Just over 1 year ago, Brawl Stars announced their first collab ever with the Godzilla event. And while there were some problems with bugs and balance, this event supercharged an already upward trend of what would end up being the biggest year that Brawl Stars had ever seen. Players were having a blast with the game, and new players were coming in to check out the hype. And as a result, Supercell was greatly rewarded for it as they saw record levels of revenue as well. They followed that up by bringing back Mega Boxes for a limited time event, and even though those Mega Boxes were not the ones of old, they were nostalgic, and even longtime players were coming back to check it out. Numbers were again on the rise, and Brawl Stars absolutely looked unstoppable. Then they announced an epic collab with SpongeBob. This event was more balanced than the Godzilla event, brought some absolutely iconic skins, and was a ton of fun. The very next update, they followed it up with what should have been an equally as huge collab, Toy Story. However, mark this as the point where everything began to fall apart. And boy, did it fall fast. Revenue went on the decline. YouTube viewership the same direction. The once hyped Buzz Lightyear had overstayed his welcome, and people were sick of this temporary brawler. Now, they tried to bring it back in the next update, but after a failed secret collab, lackluster updates, over monetization, and some questionable decisions, we find ourselves here, at the bottom. But why? Where did Brawl Stars go wrong, and what can be done to fix it? Or is it even as bad as some people seem to think? Now, what would be bad is to be stuck in a glass box with 16 other people. But I mean, if you were trying to win $10,000, then that would be worth it. And Tribe did just that in a recent video that you need to go check out after you finish this one. They played games like Brawl Stars, Subway Surfers, as well as IRL challenges until just one person was left and walked away with all the dough for themselves. And all of it was powered by Samsung, who just dropped that brand new Galaxy Z Fold 7. The Z Fold 7 got some awesome new upgrades that you also need to check out. The phone is now lighter and thinner than ever before, but also it's wider, which gives you the best experience either closed or open. The cover display has expanded to 6.5 inches, so you can use it comfortably like a traditional phone closed, or open it up and take advantage of the screen real estate to get that immersive experience. And that experience will be lightning fast as well with its Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. If you want to learn more or grab one for yourself, check out the link in the description, and be sure to go watch Tribe's video after this one. Big thanks to Samsung for sponsoring today's video. Now let me say this right from the outset. This is not a Brawl Stars is dead video. In fact, I think that those videos are kind of silly if I'm honest. Is it on a downward trend? Absolutely yes. But dead or dying? No. This is a state of the game video and a brutally honest look at why it's here and some ideas on how to fix it. Also, let me say, I loved it when I started playing back in 2017, and I still love it to this day 8 years later. So let's start at where it all went wrong and why. And to do that, we have to go back to the point that it started, Buzz Lightyear. Now, on paper, I think that Buzz Lightyear was an incredible idea, and it should have been the centerpiece of an amazing update. However, there were two big problems with it. First off, Buzz Lightyear was incredibly overpowered. Now, for a temporary brawler, you would want them a little strong just to make it fun to play. The problem was that he wasn't just a little strong, he was so strong that to even compete in matches, you had to use him. If not, you would get deleted faster than a teenage boy's browser history. Now sure, they nerfed him, but he was still so overtuned that he was the unstoppable force and the immovable object all rolled into one. But the real problem about this brawler was that he just stuck around for way too long. Just take a look at this chart. In January, Brawl Stars lost 25% of its players in 1 month. People were done with Buzz Lightyear and him ruining the core aspect of the game. But it didn't stop at Buzz. In fact, if you keep looking, the trend keeps going for the months that followed severely downhill. Now, this video is not just complaining about the bad things, because Brawl Stars has made some really good choices as well. And recently at Comic-Con, they were asked about temporary brawlers like Buzz and if they were going to do more of them again in the future. And Drew said that they have no plans to do something like this again, which is probably a smart idea. Although I will say I don't hate the idea of temporary brawlers. In fact, I think that they could be really fun. Now, of course, they would have to make sure that it's not ridiculously OP and that you can't queue up with 3 of those OP brawlers in one battle. It's just a recipe for disaster, but I guess it's all probably moot because Buzz Lightyear might have been the first and the last temporary brawler that Brawl Stars will ever see. But as bad as Buzz was, there's actually a change in the game a couple of months prior that was also good at first, but ended up, in my opinion, being a big negative. And that's the trophy rework. Now, before this, your trophies would get reset each season, and the amount that they got reset was different depending on how many trophies above 500 you had. The more you had, the more it got reset. But the amount of trophies you lost didn't make a lot of sense. It was a weird sliding scale. So Brawl Stars went through and changed it so that your trophies that you gained never reset until you went over 1,000 trophies or max tier. Now, I can totally understand why they did this, and they gave some of the reasons for it in their blog post, like they wanted to remove the friction of playing high trophy brawlers, otherwise matchmaking time. They also wanted to make the system clearer and easier to understand, but the biggest tell, in my opinion, was their 2 other reasons. They said that they wanted to make the system more welcoming for casual players, as well as make it more rewarding and therefore more engaging. Now, I can somewhat agree with the first 2 reasons. It did help matchmaking times for super high trophy players, and that's a good thing. And it indeed was clearer on how the system worked. Again, a good thing, but I do have some issues with the second 2. First off, they said that this new system is more rewarding, and for that, I totally disagree. There's no sense of accomplishment for reaching 1,000 trophies. Like, even for an average player, it's really not that hard of a thing to achieve. Now, before the change, getting to 1,000 and getting that red rank 30 badge, that was actually something to flex, and reaching rank 35 was even a bigger flex because unless you were a pro, that was a real challenge. Now, if by rewarding, they mean the actual end of season rewards, then, okay, I guess I can understand that. Like, a season trophy box is better than the varying amount of rewards that you got from the old system, but is it really that much better? Like, unless you're pushing a lot of trophies over the max, which I think that they thought people were going to do, then you're just going to get like some small amount of bling and a low rarity skin that you probably don't really even care about. Now, the other half of the reason was to make it more welcoming for casual players, and I think that they did do that in the short term, but I don't think in the long term that it will achieve what they want. Let me explain. Let's say as a new player, you grind your favorite brawler up to 1,000 trophies and you feel pretty good about that. You got the max tier. But the second you hit over 1,000 trophies, the difficulty increase in your matches is very noticeable. And that negative feedback of getting dunked on over 1,000 is pretty strong. So what will most players do? Well, they'll put that brawler on the shelf and just not play them anymore because any progress that you get above it, well, it's just going to get reset anyway. No badge to flex because you already got max tier. So all that banging your head against the wall is for what? Some bling and a 29 gem skin? So then what do? Well, you move on to the next brawler and you repeat this process over and over again until you find yourself with almost no options. Either you play some low power brawler against maxed out players just trying to get to that max tier, or you play some other brawler that you got leveled up that you might not really enjoy playing anyway. So instead of that, what do? Well, you can farm quests and collect rewards and level up the brawler that you do want to play. And then after all of that effort of leveling them up, you get a couple hours of playing that brawler that you wanted to. And then, you're at max tier again. So the cycle repeats until you're left with really crappy low power brawlers or ones that you just don't want to play. Now, they said they did this so that you can play the brawlers you want to play, but I think in the end, it actually achieved the opposite. I think that it did get casual players excited at first to get a bunch of easy trophies and max tiers, but once you get there, the reality of your limited choices sets in and you realize that and you just kind of run out of motivation to keep playing, which leads you to dropping the game. You guys let me know in the comments if I'm off base or if that's how you feel too. Now, the next problem is a tricky one, and that's over monetization. Now, just to be clear, of all Supercell games, Brawl Stars is probably the most free-to-play friendly one, with the exception being Moco, where you can't pay for any progression whatsoever. Just it's all purely cosmetic. I am not opposed to game companies making money for their work. Everyone deserves to be compensated for their skills, whether that's a plumber, a teacher, or yes, even a big game development company. If they didn't make money, the game wouldn't exist, plain and simple. So I'm not down on monetization in general, but you need free-to-play players in games. In fact, Brawl Stars is a game you can push very high in trophies or in ranked with a completely free-to-play account. My free-to-play account has over 75,000 trophies. I've been to Masters League and I've never spent a dime on it. That being said, when they do things like release a single brawler that costs $50 to get in early access, it's not a big surprise that you see backlash from the community. And boy, oh boy, did they ever. Now, this horse is already dead, so I'm not going to beat it like Chris Brown would, but this didn't help the lack of enthusiasm that the game already had. And to their defense, they have acknowledged that they miscalculated on the price of things, and they've already made some changes for the future, like getting rid of early access brawlers, even though I'm sure that it brought them a lot of money. However, it's becoming increasingly harder to compete with a lot of brawlers if you don't shell out some money. This started back when they increased the amount of power you got for each level that you went up. I was very much against that change back when they implemented it. Now, I don't think that they're ever going to revert that change, so I really don't see the point about rambling on about it, but you can watch that video if you like. However, something connected to that makes the gap continue to get wider and wider, and that's the vast amount of brawlers that they keep releasing. Now, I get it. New brawlers are always the most hyped thing in the game, especially for newer players. Getting that brand new brawler is really fun and cool, but we're getting close to 100 brawlers in this game, and it feels overwhelming at times. However, at the same time, really, what's Brawl Stars going to do about it? It's not like they can just delete some brawlers, and if they drastically slow down the rate of new brawlers coming to the game, that'll just further kill the small amount of hype that the game has right now. It's a real problem, but I really don't know a way out of it. I mean, you're kind of screwed no matter which route you take. But this is a problem that I'm sure the devs have already talked about a lot, and I bet that they have some semblance of a plan, even if they're not ready to implement it just yet. It's not a problem that's hurting the game too much right now, but I think that it will be in the not so distant future. But we can categorize this one in a problem for another day section. Now, I want to take you back to about 3 or 4 years ago when Brawl Stars introduced Map Maker. It was absolutely huge. It gave players a whole new way to spend their time in the game. From making silly maps or playing with your friends or cheesing your way to wins and easy quests. Map Maker spawned videos on my channel and OJ's channel that got millions of views. But over the years, it's gotten absolutely no love whatsoever. Now, in the roadmap for the future, Brawl Stars did say that they plan on doing a complete overhaul of it, and honestly, I'm pretty hyped for what that could be. I don't think that this new Map Maker is going to bring new players in. It by itself doesn't create hype. It's like a supporting feature to help keep the player base that's already engaged with the game. And currently, there's no external hype bringing in new players. So I feel like it's a big, huge feature that takes a lot of time and resources that could possibly be used on other things that would help the game more right now. And so that makes Map Maker dependent on the game's hype. And that's one of the biggest problems in the game right now, is that there's just no hype. They've made changes like redistributing the mastery to favor early players early on in the trophy road. They made trophies really easy to gain. They're pumping out brawlers left and right, and they really seem to be catering to new players. But what's the thing that's going to bring these players in? There has to be some catalyst for making that happen. So unless we're going to kidnap Jinxie and make him play Brawl Stars to bring back the relevance like he did for Clash Royale, then there has to be something. Now, I like collabs, and I don't have anything against them, and clearly, as we showed in the beginning of this video, they help drive that hype. But with that, you have to get people to stick around for longer than just that event. And are they really going to want to do that when you have problems like bugs and balancing issues? And yes, Brawl Stars has clearly said before that releasing a new brawler slightly stronger than normal is intended, as it's not fun to get a new brawler and not be able to compete very well. That being said, the new brawler is often not slightly strong, it's greatly overpowered. And you know what? I'm not mad about that. Brawl Stars has internal testers who play the brawlers, as well as there's a bunch of content creators like myself and pro players who play the brawler before the release during the sneak peek times, and we give feedback on that brawler if it's too strong or not. And sometimes they get nerfed before they get released, and sometimes they get buffed. But even with that, sometimes it's very hard to get a really good feel for how good the brawler is going to be until it's just released for everybody to play. And that's fine. I get it. Mistakes will be made, and that is totally understandable. What I don't like is when it becomes clear that this brawler needs balancing. Sometimes it takes too long for that to happen. Flashback to Larry and Lori, who took almost 2 full months to fully get them in line. And this situation has been amplified with new hypercharges as well. Every time a new batch comes out, it seems like there's at least one that is incredibly broken for what feels like a prolonged time. Now, I do think that Adrian, the guy that's in charge of balancing, generally does a very good job at responding and making changes. He does a good job. Seriously, I just wish that it happened a little bit quicker is all. And maybe there's some reasons why it doesn't that I'm unaware of. So then the latest controversy in the game, the removal of masteries and the addition of records. Now this one, it's a tough pill to swallow. Now the justification of the removal of masteries was not without merit. They removed them because they said that people were not engaging with them, and honestly, I can't disagree with them on that. And whether you cared that they were removed or not, there can be very little argument that the vast majority of people were indeed not grinding hundreds of games to get to these masteries. That being the case though, it was nice knowing that they were there. Like, even if it was just a game here or a game there, you were still making progress towards that goal that you would one day achieve, even if it wasn't one that you were actively grinding to strive to get as quick as possible. And along the way, you would get a huge amount of rewards. Masteries were aimed at the very engaged and dedicated players like you and me. Like, if you were on YouTube right now watching me rant about changes that I think have hurt the game, then you probably care about Brawl Stars. You're a very engaged player, even if you disagree with me completely, which is totally fine. You're still a hardcore player, and that's awesome. The mastery system was aimed at you, but what they did was take that away from players like you and me, and they gave it to newer players as they mainly redistributed those rewards, for the most part, to people early on in the trophy road. I think that giving new players more positive feedback and progression, that's a good thing, and I'm glad they gave them more early on. It helps keep these players coming back and eventually converts them into long-term players, but I think it was a mistake to take those rewards from us just to give it to them. Now sure, you could have gotten the bulk of those rewards if you played the heck out of the 1000 mastery events, but let's be real. Not everybody has the time to do that. People have lives, and to say, well, we gave you a chance to get them, that just kind of ignores the fact that not everybody's able to drop everything and no life a game for a week. Now, they didn't say those words exactly, but they kind of implied that, and honestly, it's a little bit disingenuous and not fair, regardless of how good the event was. And yes, it was a very, very good event. And it's not that I hate the record system in general. I mean, I don't think it's amazing, and I do think that it was released before it was fully cooked up, and I'm willing to give them time to see what they do with it. But Brawl Stars has said that records was never meant to be a replacement for masteries. It was supposed to be its own thing, and they were just removing masteries to redistribute those rewards, and just at the same time, they happened to have a new feature they were putting out. But I mean, the cosmetics, the timing, and the other similarities, yeah, they're going to be tied together regardless of what they say. The bottom line is this. They took from the hardcore players to give to the new players, and I think that's a mistake. New players need and deserve a better experience earlier on, yes, but long-term players shouldn't have to take the hit for them to achieve that. It feels bad, and I hope that they don't ever do something like this again in the future. So by my estimation, all of that said, that's where Brawl Stars has gone wrong to cause the rather quick decline in its player base and its hype. Now, this is probably a very simplified view, and I have no doubt that it's vastly more nuanced than that. I mean, last year for Brawl was absolutely insane, and it's impossible to stay at the top of the peak forever. Like, a decline, it's inevitable, but multiple things together caused it to drop much faster and much farther than I was expecting. If you take a look at views on people's YouTube's channel, you might be tempted to say that the game is dead or that it's dying, but I think that there may be still more players playing right now than the previous low point of Brawl, even if YouTube views don't reflect that. And if I'm being absolutely brutally honest, it's really rough for creators right now who cover the game like myself, who have seen their AdSense drop by 75%, sponsors offering up deals that are worth vastly less, and creator code just a fraction of what it used to be. Now, we may not be at an all-time low for players, but in terms of video views on YouTube, we are near or at an all-time low. And to see the best proof of that, simply look at the official Brawl Stars channel on their Brawl Talks. Views were massive back when Mega Boxes came back, and they remained at a very high level until the last Brawl Talk, where it was down to 10 million views, which is the lowest it's been in over 5 years. There's just not that much hype in the game right now, so what do we need to do? Well, bring back the hype. And honestly, that's a lot easier said than done. When Brawl Stars was popping off, they had big events that drew people into the game. Not only with big time collabs, but with features and events that re-engaged longtime players as well. It gave them a reason to get back to the game and experience the new content. And without hype, you're not going to get new players, and longtime players will not have a compelling enough reason to come back and try it out again. There are some big collab possibilities that I think could be very cool, like Cuphead or TF2, or even some sort of Nintendo collab. Maybe a Cookie Run Kingdom, or some hype anime collab, whether that be old school like Naruto or One Piece, or even something newer like Demon Slayer or Chainsaw Man. In fact, my hunch is that the Wasabi event was originally supposed to be an anime one like Naruto or Demon Slayer, but without the name recognition that it would have brought, that update fell very flat. Again, no inside knowledge. I don't know if that's true. It's just kind of looking at the skins. That's what it seems like. There are a ton of possibilities that would be very cool and attract new players and re-engage older players. But these big hype events, they got to be backed up with solid fundamentals to the game as well. Like, give me a Minecraft collab with a Minecraft asset pack in Mapmaker so you could make Minecraft style maps in there and then play on them. That would be freaking cool as heck. Or how about a Plants vs. Zombie collab with a PvZ style minigame where you defend against brawlers turned into evil plants? Or maybe a Gravity Falls collab with a mystery event to go along with it. Like, give us a book, just like in the show, that gets filled up with random oddities, and maybe you could tie that into lore as well. Or how about you give us Mario and a game mode where you can go down the green pipes that act like teleports, or even a freaking Mario Kart style minigame. Nintendo probably would never license that sort of thing, but I mean, you get the idea. There's a lot of possibilities. And I don't think that it can be either or. It can't be pure hype without substance, or it won't keep the players. But it can't be all substance without drawing in new players as well. It's a balancing act that I will fully admit goes well beyond my knowledge on how to pull that off. But I believe in their abilities to cook up some good stuff. Now, also, clearly Records needs to be made a whole lot better, and moving forward, Brawl can't keep giving long-term players the shaft just to cater to new players. Now, new players are essential to the life of the game. They 100% need new players to keep coming into the game to replenish the players who have moved on. But again, there's got to be a balance there, not to piss off the current players in an effort just to get the new ones. To give them props though, they have already announced some really good changes that they're making with buffing the free Brawl Pass with the rewards you would have gotten from a new brawler on their mastery track every single season. So you're going to be getting extra big rewards on the Brawl Pass for free. That's really, really good, and they deserve praise for doing that, even if it took an outroar to get there. They're also doing away with early access offers to give everyone a chance to play and perhaps even get that new brawler for free every time. Now, we don't know the details there, but if it's even close to as good as I think that it could be, then that will be absolutely huge. Now, of course, you're going to find people to say that this game is dead or it's dying. Just look on YouTube, there's plenty of videos. And the truth is, yeah, it's in a very down spot right now. We're honestly not that far removed from the absolute peak of the game. If you were to go back just a couple years to the last time that the game is down, you wouldn't have to look very far to find people saying, oh, the game is dead. And look what happened. Now, is it within the realm of possibility that the game continues onward down and just never comes back? I mean, yeah, sure, that is absolutely possible. But personally, I think that by the end of this year, you're going to see things starting to pick up again in a big way. And if I'm wrong, well, I guess I'll be looking for something else to make videos on, or I'll become a greeter at Walmart. Welcome to Walmart. See, look, I'm ready for the job, man. But I can't help but to be optimistic about the game's future. And I truly believe that this is just another one of those dips during the game's life. It's not the first, and it certainly will not be the last. It's completely normal for games to go through these cycles. So I'll end with this. When you're at the bottom, the only place to go is up. Let's just hope that we are indeed at the bottom.